Hey, I'm Melanie. I'm a mom of 4, and I'm so excited that you're here today because I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite things, and that is having babies. And I had all four of my kids naturally and unmedicated, and I'm excited because I get to talk to you about that experience, what it was like for me, and share some of my top tips when it comes to having a natural unmedicated childbirth. So you might be here because you are a first-time mom and you're expecting your first baby and you want to prepare as much in advance for this experience as possible. That's amazing. Or maybe you're already a parent and your previous experience of childbirth did not go as expected, and this time around you're really hoping to have that natural birth that you want. Honestly, I could not have done this without all of these tips that I'm going to share with you. So if this is important to you, which you're here on my channel, I'm assuming that having a natural childbirth is important to you. I really recommend that you listen all the way through because each point that I'm going to share is really important and vital in this process. Everything I'm saying is not to brag in any way, and I don't want to put anyone down who has had an epidural or a C-section or any other experience. I just want to say this is my story and this is what worked for me and how I was able to have 4 successful natural childbirths. Coffee first, of course. Let's first talk about the place that you're planning on having your baby. You have to make sure that wherever you're planning on having your baby is a place that you feel most comfortable. For me, with all 4 of my kids, I had a hospital birth. I did actually plan on a home birth with my last, but that ended up going in a different direction because of COVID. So my personality is I'm always thinking about things that have to get done. I'd be thinking about the laundry, or is my house clean, or do I have enough food in my fridge? All of these things would be going through my mind if I was at home. So I knew that by leaving my house, going to the hospital, I wouldn't have to worry about any of those things, and that's why I chose to go to the hospital. So just make sure wherever you're planning on having your baby, it's the place that you feel comfortable, where you don't have to think. You can relax and let go of all the things going on in your mind and just focus on what's most important, and that's obviously having your baby. Okay, so my second piece of advice is probably the most important piece of advice that I could give anyone, and that's about being mentally strong. Obviously, the labor experience is a physical experience, and it's important to be physically strong. So if you can exercise, yes, definitely important, do that. But I actually think it's even more important to train your mind. First of all, you have to decide and be certain that you want this for yourself. Because if you aren't sure and you just go into this like, oh, I'm hoping to have a natural childbirth, honestly, I don't think it's gonna happen, because you can't really give yourself other options, because if other options present themselves to you, you're gonna want it. So just go into this knowing, nope, I wanna have a natural childbirth. I've decided this for myself and I can do this. Essentially, you wanna practice talking to yourself. It sounds a little bit wacky and crazy, but if you can talk to yourself and convince yourself of things, you're gonna do well. I actually talked to myself through most of my labors, even out loud. I'm sure my midwives and the nurses and whoever was in the room just thought it was a whack job. But I would literally say, Melanie, it's okay. You got this. You got this, Melanie. Just one more contraction. Melanie, it's okay. Melanie, you got this. Like, it helped me so much because I was telling myself the opposite of what I was actually feeling. I felt inside, I can't do this. I'm giving up. This is impossible. But I got control of those thoughts and I told those negative thoughts the opposite. No, this pain is a good thing. This pain is getting me closer to meeting my baby. My body is doing what it's supposed to do. So practice talking to yourself and building that mental strength. It's super important. And just to piggyback on that last point of mental strength, you also have to get control over your body. So when a contraction comes, everything in you is going to clench and fight against it. Like, I remember, especially with my first, I was fighting it so bad. I was resisting these contractions. Every time one came, I would cry and say, no, I can't do this. And I would literally clench my whole body. I didn't know at the time that doing that was actually slowing things down. As soon as I realized, okay, a contraction's coming, now I need to tell my body, as much as I want to clench and fight this, I have to relax if I want this baby to come out and come out quickly. With my second, third, and fourth childbirth experience, I knew this, and I was able to tell myself, nope, contraction's coming. I need to relax so that the baby can move into the right position and come out quicker. Mind will control the body, which ultimately will tell the baby time to come out. Okay, so my third point is preparing in advance by watching other people's stories. So if you're a first-time mom, I would say this is really, really important for you. If you're a seasoned mom or you've had another baby before, you kind of know what you're getting into. But even still, like I've had four kids myself. If I was going to have another one, I would still take the time to sit down and watch other people's stories. And I liked watching like the full thing. Like I wanted to know exactly what I was going to be experiencing soon. Find some people who are willing to put that out there and watch it, because it's going to really help you. You want to feel inspired. You want to feel like you can do this, like it's possible. And the best way to do that is to watch somebody else who's done it. The more knowledge that you have, the better off you're going to be. I'm not putting my video out there, so sorry. Won't be my story that you're watching. So my fourth piece of advice is to make sure that you prepare in advance a really good music playlist. I mean, when you work out, for instance, you are not going to be working out to music that you hate or music that doesn't inspire you or motivate you, because you're not going to have a good workout, right? I can remember with my third baby, Levi, being in labor, and I was in a lot of pain at this point, and I had my headphones in and my husband was off. I think he was getting me like ice chips or something from the cafeteria so that I could suck on some ice, which is weird, but that also helps. Anyways, my husband was gone. It was just the midwife in the room with me, and I remember my water broke and I felt so afraid. I felt so alone and scared. And then all of a sudden this song came on, and it was one of those songs that just completely changed the moment for me. It took the fear out of me all of a sudden. It was like, just listen to the words, listen to the music, and get through this contraction. And when that song came on, it changed everything for me. So it's so important to make sure that you choose the right songs and get them ready in advance. Have a playlist ready so that when you have those tough moments or where you need to just relax, you can draw on the music instead of just trying to pull that out of yourself. Okay, so my next point is having the right support person with you. So if your decision is to have a natural, unmedicated childbirth, whoever's in the room with you has to know that, and they have to be on the same page as you. Because if you are in labor and somebody there is saying, oh no, they're in too much pain, or are you sure you can do this? Or if they're putting fear into you, that you can't have that. You just can't. And whoever this person is, they're going to be the one telling you, no, you can do this, when you might be saying, I'm done, I give up, I quit, I can't do this anymore. That happened to me with my first baby. I was in labor for like 2 days with my first baby, and I was exhausted. I was just done. And I remember there was a point in the hospital where I was in the shower. I was just crying, saying, I can't do this anymore. I'm too tired. And I remember my husband, sorry, this makes me a little bit emotional. I just remember my husband coming up to me and like saying, Melanie, you can do this. You can do this. You don't want the epidural. Like he spoke that truth to me, and he gave it to me straight, you know? And sometimes you just need that. You need somebody to be like, no, you can do this. And that's a hard thing to say, especially to somebody who is hurting. My husband knew what I wanted, and he supported me, and he believed in me. If he wasn't there, I totally would have caved, and I would have taken the epidural like in an instant. He reminded me of what was important to me, and he gave me the courage to keep going when I wanted to quit. Okay, so my next tip is about sleep. If it is in your power to take a nap or to go to bed, do it, okay? The midwives told me this with my first baby. They said, okay, if the labor starts, just lie down and sleep. Like, just relax. Don't try to do anything. But of course, me, being me, I was up, I was dancing, I was doing all these moves, trying to get the baby in the right position so things would speed up. I was excited, obviously. Like, it's my first baby, this is my first time. Like, I felt ready, I felt prepared, like this is gonna happen. But that was a huge mistake for me. I was up all night. It wasn't until the morning that things picked up that I was just too tired at that point to actually deal with the real contractions. Like, you don't really know what real contractions feel like when you're a first-time mom. So you think like those early contractions, this might be it, and I can do this. But if you're too exhausted, you're not gonna be able to handle the real contractions. So it's gonna go against your instinct to lie down and have a nap when you start to feel labor pains come on. But take it from me, just lie down and sleep, because if you're in real labor, you are not going to be able to sleep. Those are not real contractions if you can lie down and have a nap. So make sure you sleep so that when the real contractions come, you can handle them better. All right, next tip is about food. It's super important that you eat. Going into labor is kind of like running a marathon. Although you don't really know how long the marathon is going to be. Like, as soon as I started to feel contractions come on, I had a really good meal. We made eggs, we made toast, we had avocado. You want to have protein, you want to have healthy fats, and you want to have a good carb. You want to prepare for a marathon, okay? So don't just hop up and have a light snack and think that's going to help you for however long, you know? Like, you want to eat a substantial meal. Don't worry about all the people that say you shouldn't eat anything, like eat something light. I would say no. I mean, if you're gonna puke, you're gonna puke it up anyway, so don't worry about that, okay? Just worry more about fueling your body so that you can run this marathon and do it successfully. Also, you wanna really think about the snacks that you're packing, especially if you're going to the hospital. It's not always easy to find a snack at like 4 in the morning. Take it from me. We went to the hospital at that time and we were walking the halls, and I remember I was so hungry and the vending machine wasn't working. The food court was closed. It was horrible. So make sure you have snacks on hand. I like to pack really easy, quick digesting snacks. Things like applesauces in a pouch, like for babies and kids, because there's gonna be times when you're in too much pain to be thinking about chewing. So applesauces in pouches, even like crackers that you can suck on. And you also want to make sure that your spouse has a game plan for their food as well, because they're going to be with you the whole time, and you are going to be one angry mama if your spouse is sitting at the food court while you're walking by yourself, laboring, and they're eating a sandwich because they forgot to eat something before leaving or they didn't pack anything. Thomas, sorry to throw you under the bus here, but that was totally my husband with one of my labor experiences. I don't blame him one bit, but I remember I wasn't too happy when I was laboring in the hospital hallway and he was sitting down eating a sub sandwich. So make sure your spouse is prepared as well. Okay, and just a note on food. I have a really funny story to share with my first, when I had my first baby. I was laboring at home. I like to do that as well. Labor at home as long as possible before going to the hospital, but that's a side note. I was laboring at home and I was in the bath because that was a good place to be for me when I was in early labor. And my husband was hungry. He was so hungry. So he called a pizza place that was pretty close to us, and he tried to order a pizza while I was in labor, and the pizza place would not deliver the pizza to us. You know, I'm gonna say the pizza place. That pizza place was Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut would not deliver to us. And where we lived, there was a road, and on the other side of the road was one town, and technically we lived on the opposite side of the road, which was a different town. So Pizza Hut would only deliver the pizza to the other side of the road, okay? So he's on the phone with Pizza Hut trying to negotiate with them and saying, listen, my wife is in labor. I'm hungry. Can you just deliver the pizza? Like, we live on the other side of the road. You're telling me you'll deliver it to the house across the street, but you won't bring it to me. He even asked to speak to the manager, and the person on the phone says to my husband, if your wife is actually in labor, you shouldn't be on the phone with me. You need to hang up and take your wife to the hospital. Anyways, that guy didn't know what he was talking about, because this labor was lasting days for me and I wasn't ready to go to the hospital yet. And my husband was hungry, and so was I. Anyways, he hung up the phone with Pizza Hut, and Domino's saved the day. Domino's was willing to drive it to our house. Anyways, funny story, but make sure you have a food plan because it's really important. My last point, or my last tip, is one that is very personal to me, but one that is super important. Having a strong faith and connection to God before going into your labor. When I had those moments during my labor where I felt like it was impossible or I couldn't keep going, I would talk to God. I prayed in that moment, and I prayed and I asked God, I need you. I actually said it out loud. And the midwife heard me saying that. She said, He is helping you, Melanie. He is helping you. And that was huge for me. I really drew on God's strength when I felt like my strength was weak. So, okay, I have to stop myself now because I could literally talk about this stuff for days. So I won't ramble on any longer. Hopefully you found that helpful. Just remember, you can do this. It can be a beautiful, empowering, amazing experience. I actually love the childbirth experience, as hard as it was. I look back on it now and I smile. And as soon as your baby is born, it is just so worth it. It's so worth it. Having a baby is such a beautiful experience, and it's one of my favorite memories to date. I hope what I shared was helpful for you and that you're able to take something away from it and bring it into your next birth. I believe in you. You can do this.